Hello, it's me, Anatai. I'm the owner of Anatai Wellness Institute. Okay, so it's the first time I'm doing live on TikTok, so let's see what's gonna happen. But I usually do this every week, and I haven't been. Oh, sorry. Okay, maybe I shouldn't touch anything on the computer. But anyway, so this is what I do. I do this live Q&A every week and answer questions specifically about weight loss, binge eating, overeating, emotional eating, and autoimmune diseases. So, and the reason why I choose this is because I want to help you guys to actually achieve the weight loss and actually stop dieting because I see that every day in my practice that women try and follow all this conventional advice, try and cut back on the calories, exercising like 2 hours every day and still not losing weight. And there is a very, very, very good reason why that is not working. And like I said, it's the first time I'm doing live on TikTok, so I'm just trying to figure out what's going on over a screen there because there's a lot of things popping up in the screen. But maybe I shouldn't get distracted. Anyway, so let's get started. So, for those of you who's on TikTok, I do have a Facebook group where women goes in, hang out, and share questions. And I do answer question. I do answer question in there, but I'm going. Um, I took some screenshot of some of the questions, so I'll try to answer some of them tonight. Um, and speaking of this, like I told you earlier, I usually do this every week. I used to do this every Sunday, but I find that I'm saving my Sunday and my weekend time where I have more time to do therapy with people. So I'm switching my live Q&A on during the week. So, and I pick Wednesday. It just so happened that I'm free today. So let's see how Wednesday is working out for everyone. But let's get started. Oh, that's what I'm trying to tell you. If you have question, you can drop your question in the comment under, or if not, you can also join my Facebook group. Um, I think if you just search in Facebook weight loss, binge eat, and autoimmune diseases, that's the group. And you can join and we'll let you in. Make sure that you answer the question just like a human being so we know that you're not a robot trying to enter and spam us. So you can have your question in there and get answered. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a registered dietitian with 20 years of experience working at one of the local Army hospitals. So I'm with the U.S. Army hospital, have 20 years experience. I usually work with children, but I've been starting to see some adults, and I started to notice that in the adult world, things are just crazy. And a lot of this and use my knowledge and experience with working with children and was able to do a lot better helping actually adults achieve weight loss without starving themselves. But yeah, so I'm gonna have a whole program out and like I have webinars and everything. So, but we can talk about that later. But for now, like I said, I'm gonna answer your question from the group. So just bear with me because it's a private group. I won't be reading any people's name, but I'm just gonna read the question and I try and answer it as best as I can from my perspective. Some of the things that you're gonna hear from me might be a little bit foreign because many people, when they think of weight loss, the first reaction that they think about is like, how am I going to cut back calories? How much calories do I need? And basically, it's all about cutting calories, calorie deficit, how much I have to exercise, how do I count calories. My philosophy with weight loss is totally against of those old conventional recommendation that doesn't work. And maybe in the future post, and actually I did talk about like on the Facebook side, I think my first live I did explain and talk about myself more. But for those on TikTok who don't know me that much, but that's where I am. So that's my disclaimer. You're gonna find that a lot of the things that I talk about is like, oh my God, what the hell she's talking about. And I can guarantee you that everything that I said works. Okay, here. So this person have this question is more towards women because um, she used the emoji of a shark, so I think she means Shark Week, and I think the Shark Week means that when you have your menstrual period. So it's Shark Week, and the cravings are something fierce. How do you all stay on track during Shark Week? And I'm over here craving things that I hate. For example, cake between my birthday, Easter, family stuff, and now Shark Week. It looks like I'll never get back on track. Okay, um, this is the reason why I try to focus more on working with women more because a lot of these recommendations is kind of more based on men. So you'll find that I tend to divert a little bit, or divert a little bit, going back and forth. Um, if I put someone on a weight loss diet, not really weight loss, actually one of the healthy diet that I give to my female patient, and if the husband or the boyfriend do the exact same thing with them, the husband and the boyfriend always lose twice as much weight as them. And the reason why is because the woman's body is different. The woman's body is different in terms of the hormones that we have. And when we often talk about hormones, we often automatically just think that, oh yeah, the estrogen and progesterone and all those female hormone, right? And sex hormone like testosterone. But we're also talking about other types of hormones as well because our body has so many different hormones. Everything that our body does and do and think is all run by different kind of hormones. So, but anyway, so speaking of the shark week or the menstrual period, when women go through menstrual period, is a fluctuation of the hormones. I'm not an endocrinologist. All I know is that during that time of the week, the hormones goes crazy. And usually, um, if you have, most women will experience like weight changes, weight fluctuation. And a lot of times women freaked out about that because they're like, oh my God, I gained weight. Like, but it's normal for women to have fluctuations of like 20, not that much, but about maybe a couple, 4 or 5 pounds, or maybe for some women, maybe a lot more. But it's all because of the fluctuations in hormones. And the other thing is because during the menstrual period, you're losing blood. So when your body is losing blood, it is in a negative resources. Then going back again where I've talked about a lot before is the starvation and the stress mode. So your body is a survival machine. Anything anything that we do, anything that we experience that makes your body thinks that it is losing or it is in a negative, it is going to react. So in her case, and not just her, I've seen a lot of patients have the same issue too. Around the time of your menstrual period, you tend to have more cravings. Some of you might have even cramps, like menstrual cramps and headaches, um, fluctuation in weight. So all of those are signs that your hormones is fluctuating. And the things that is like menstrual cramps, headaches, all those usually means that you have a mineral deficiency. Because if you think of during menstrual period, you're actually losing blood, and you have to think what exactly is in the blood, right? So in the blood, you're actually losing a lot of minerals because the blood itself is protein and minerals. Your body, if your body keeps that blood in, it can actually break it down and use it as energy and reuse or recycle the minerals. So not just all iron, there's iron in it, there's other minerals like magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, and all of those things. So during the period when you're losing blood, your body actually is in a negative. So to combat that or try to survive that, your body kind of makes you crave. And usually people tend to crave more salty things. Some people crave more for things like chocolate. So usually the way that I help my patient reverse the cravings during the menstrual cycle is, especially if they have menstrual cramps, and headaches, that's definitely a sign that you have a mineral deficiency. So I put most of my patient on a mineral supplement, something like I don't have it here. It's a trace mineral supplement drop that you just add it to the water. I'll just have them take 400 milligrams of magnesium every day, and then or if not every day, at least around the time that they have their period. And usually they'll notice that they have significantly decreased in the cravings for food. So like in this person's case, her question her question sounds like she have this uncontrollable cravings or urge to eat. So most likely her body is experiencing a deficiency questions from a weight loss Facebook group. So that means that these people probably is already on a calorie deficit diet. So when they're on a calorie deficit diet, and then now they're in the menstrual period phase where they're losing even more resources in the form of blood, then that means that they are very in a negative. So the body's like, oh my God, something's going on. We need to do something. So the thing is that you have to understand, um, okay, probably not right now. Um, Something to remember is that um, with, okay, I forgot what I was going to say because there's so much stuff going on the face. Um, Let me think a little bit, slow down. Oh yeah, cravings. What exactly is cravings? So human beings have different feelings and sensation. One of the things that I also talk about a lot in my blog and also on my Instagram side, I haven't been on TikTok lately. It's my problem. Um, is that our body is constantly trying to communicate with us. But the problem is that a lot of people in the society, especially women and men who's trying to lose weight, they are told to follow count calories, do intermittent fasting. So you eat at certain times, stop eating at certain times. You can only eat food of a certain type of calories. You can eat this and not that. All of those kind of recommendations actually put you in a spot where you become so focused on using an outside source to tell you when and what to eat, and you totally ignore your body signal, because our body is very smart. Our body is constantly telling us what to do and what we want. So when we feel hungry, it is our body telling us that, hey, you need food. And when you feel thirsty, is your body telling you that go get something to drink. And when you have cravings, and even like when you have binge eating, it's the same thing. Okay, I think I'm not going to accept any live requests for now. Let me just finish my questions tonight. Um, but okay, okay. Facebook have been weird lately, but it looks like it's still working. Um, so when you have cravings, it is actually your body telling you that something is missing, but it is not food and it is not hydration. It is minerals because, okay, I'm going digress a little bit and talk a little bit more about basic nutrition. So out of all the food that we eat, there are macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are the things that people talk about all the time. Oh yeah, I count macros. I eat so much carbs, so much protein, and so much fats. So that's what macros is: carb, protein, and fats. So those are the three things, and those are basically the building blocks of our body, and those are the also three things that provide us with energy. And then there's also micronutrients. So the micronutrients are things like vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. So these are all the tiny little things that you get along when you eat things that have protein, carbohydrate, and fats. So when you're hungry, usually your body is asking for either a protein, carbohydrate, or fats, something that can be converted into calories or converted into energy that your body can use. But when your body have cravings, it's usually looking for something a little bit more precise, something tinier, so vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Because the human body is not an empty bucket where you put something in and then you dump it out. That's kind of the reason why a lot of this starvation style weight loss that doesn't work is it assumes that our body is like a bucket. You pour some in and pour some out, and then you should be good. And if it's not good, it's because you're lying. But it is not. Like I said, I've been doing that thing for like 20 years. I've seen everything. So I can, like, patient can come in and try to lie to me, and I can tell right away that what whether you're lying or not. But anyway, so our body is a very delicate and advanced machine. Everything that you're seeing here, like when you look at yourself every morning in the face, is all biochemicals all going on every day. So sometimes people will say, "Oh yeah, I felt like I'm eating, but I'm always hungry. But I'm eating. I'm eating until I'm full." The problem is we need to look back at what exactly are you eating, because I'm just gonna be all over the place. Um, when you eat, especially when you're following a lot of this um, old and out of date conventional recommendation to count calories, what happened is you're counting calories, but you're eating the wrong calories. So you might feel like you're eating food, you're eating all these empty calories, that things that have no nutritional value in it. Like those rice cake and popcorn sounds like very healthy food, but you're just eating, filling your body with empty space, but your body's like, oh my god, where's all the nutrients? There's nothing. Like I'm eating food, but I'm still missing stuff. So, well, you'll notice that people who tends to eat a lot of those things will still have a lot of cravings or still feel hungry. But it's because they're just filling themselves up with a lot of empty calories. That's what really empty calories means. It just gives you calories but have no nutritional value. That's basically what it means. So that's kind of one of the things about could be one possible cause of binge eating or cravings or emotional eating. Actually, emotional eating is something totally different, and I might talk about, I think, one of the questions about that. Another reason that might cause you to binge eat, this is very significant and very simple, but nobody wants to hear it because every doctors, every nutritionist out there say, in order to lose weight, you need to cut calories and restrict your diet. So there's a very, very significant reason why people binge eat when they have the chance is because you're restricting your calories or you're eating too much. Again, when you restrict your calories, go on a calorie deficit diet, like a 1200 calories diet, and you exercise 2 hours every day, and you don't lose weight, and some people even gain weight, is because when you're doing that kind of extreme starvation lifestyle, you actually switch your body into a starvation mode. And and many people talk about starvation mode all the time, but it seems like nobody actually pay attention to it. They just still continue to starve themselves. And what happened is you do really, really well, like eating really, really well. Some people might eat very well. Like a patient will come to see me, and then I was like, I'll ask them, what do you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And they'll have like a perfect breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything is so nice. And I was like, okay, so what do you eat at snack? For snack, or do you have binge eating and sugar eating? And they're like, oh yeah, that's the problem. So that is exactly the problem. When you try to restrict yourself with eating all this super healthy, low calorie food, you actually put yourself in a starvation mode. When your body senses that you're starving, what it does is it bumps down its metabolism to try to match the new or the calorie intake level that you're at. That's one thing. So your metabolism actually drops when you decrease your intake or go on a starvation calorie deficit diet. Second thing that happens when you're in a starvation mode is that your body actually increases your sense of food. So that's the reason why a lot of people who are on a calorie deficit um, dieting, try to lose weight, they tend to think about food all the time. And that's and all these have been proven by research that it doesn't work, and it also can be one of the cause of disorder eating, which basically a lot of people who are trying to follow a calorie deficit diet is kind of like borderline disorder eating. Um, Oh, and then one more thing that happens when you're in a starvation mode is when your body is in a starvation mode, so it drops the metabolism to drop your lower calories intake. It makes you always thinking about food because your body is like, oh my God, we don't know when is food available. Let's make you super sensitive to food and think about food all the time. So when food actually is there, you binge eat on it because your body's like, don't know when it's gonna have food again. Let's just stuff ourselves. Like, you know how certain animals go on hibernation? It's the same idea. You just don't know, expecting that there will be no food for a long period of time, so you just stuff your body and get ready for that starvation to come, which we know never happens. Who there have ever been starved, like not on your own, like because there's really no food for more than a week, right? We do that in the hospital sometimes, but we do it for good reason. Um, Oh, third thing that happens when your body is in starvation mode. So, conventional nutrition advice says cut 500 calories a day to lose 1 pound of body fat a week. And that's completely flawed because that's the that have two assumptions that is wrong. The first assumption is that your body continues at a higher, at this same level of metabolism. So I mentioned that when you drop your calories intake, your metabolism drop. The second assumption that is wrong in that recommendation is that it assumes that when you have that calorie deficit, your body is automatically going to burn fat to use as energy, which is completely wrong. Because again, when you bump down your calories intake and put your body in a starvation mode, your body is going to hold on to the fat even more. It's going to hold on to the fat with its dear life because in our body is a survival machine. That's all it does. Our body and our brain is here to help us survive. It does everything, whatever possible, to keep us alive as long as possible. So when you put your body in a situation where its survival is being threatened, it's going to hold on to the fat for its dear life. So that's the second. So instead of burning fat, actually your body in nation might be losing some weight because your body is actually breaking down protein from tissue, your organ tissue. So you actually losing tissue weight or muscle weight in the very beginning when you first notice that you're losing weight. And that's the reason why you initially, the first couple of times you try to lose weight by cutting calories, exercising a lot, that weight comes off so easily, right? Because you're losing muscle mass and organ mass. And those weight is heavier because there's more water in it. But then you go back to your old eating habits. So you have that up and down weight loss. So every time you diet it, your metabolism kind of bump down a little bit more. And then also because you're losing more muscle mass over time. So muscle mass is the metabolically active tissue. So you ended up with more body fat over time. So every time you diet and have your weight go down and up, you ended up with lower metabolism because of less muscle mass and also overall metabolic decrease. And then also your hormonal, everything is off. Then when your body is in starvation mode, the way that it bumps down metabolism is actually by shutting down some of the non-essential body function, things like digestion, thinking. That's why a lot of times people who lose a lot of weight, and we see that oftentimes in people with eating disorder or anorexia, and anorexia nervosa, where they lose a lot of weight, like the brain function decrease as well. We actually call that anorexic brain because the brain just don't have the resource and energy to think, and probably some of the tissue, brain tissue, is being broken down to use as energy as well. And that's not a healthy way to lose weight because I've seen so many people lose weight in such an unhealthy way. Like you can tell they're not happy, and they're not healthy. But our whole society, especially the doctors, always tell you you need to lose weight because your cholesterol is high, because your blood pressure is high, blah blah blah. So they think that losing weight means that you're gonna become healthy, but they don't realize that the way that we try to lose weight now is actually very unhealthy. Like I said, I've seen so many people try to lose the weight by starving themselves, like these people are not healthy. They are sick. They have nutritional deficiency. They're not happy. You can see on the face, like they don't have the color on the face is like grayish color. They don't have emotions, just flat, because when you're starving, your body is not even making the brain chemicals to make you feel anything. And then, of course, because your brain chemicals is off, I see also more of depression and anxiety. And then when I help my patient to start eating in a way that actually nurtures the body and to heal the body, all of these people start eating more. And you can see the light come back into the eyes. And when they come back to see me in a month after following the the way that I want them to eat to actually nurture the body and bring the body out of that starvation mode, they all come back with more energy, the skin clear up, they have a smile on the face, and they're like, I'm actually enjoying exercise because I'm not exercising like I used to be. Because all of them, they'll be exercising like super intense, super high level. But I was like, you need to stop exercising that much because the exercise itself is stressing your body out. So calorie deficit is not the way to lose weight. And I guess I talk a lot to answer this question, but going back to the question about like having more cravings during the shark week or during your menstrual period time, basically it's just that it switched your body into a starvation mode. So you just have to replenish that nutrients that you need, more specifically the micronutrients. So things like vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. So like I said, usually with my patient, I put them on about 400 milligrams of magnesium, and it's something super cheap. You can go to any store, drugstores, and get it. Go on Amazon, just get any whatever magnesium should work. There's some that is a little bit more gentler. If you want, I can put a link on it later here, but generally any magnesium will work. 400 milligrams a day. Okay, next question. I feel like a failure. Last few days I've been iffy and I finally broke today. Fast food and sugar are my demons. And I finally got me today, or they finally got me today, and I'm trying not to give up. It's so damn hard. Okay, so this is kind of like a complaint, and I don't know this person, I don't know what they usually eat. But again, because this is a question that comes from the weight loss um, group, most likely this person must have been on a calorie deficit diet. So whenever you starve your body long enough, you're going to end up craving those food. And I've seen that all the time in my patient. They're like, I really want that piece of cake. I really want that piece of cookie, but I cannot have it. So then they don't let themselves have it. So they think about the chocolate cake, the cookies, the ice cream for like 3 days. Then on day four is like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna have all the cookies, ice cream, and cake that I want. So it just doesn't work. Just let your body have it. When your body wants something, let your not allow yourself to have something. You're just gonna have more of it. And worse, you're going to be obsessed thinking about it for 3 days. How does that make you feel? Thinking about food for 3 days, obsessed about something you cannot have. But on the other hand, just eat that food, however bad it is, just eat it. Because a lot of times, I know some of you might be thinking, but if I eat the cookie, I can't stop. Okay, how many times you've been thinking of something that you want to eat? You're like, oh, like it happens to me too. I'm not like God or anything or saint. Sometimes I was like, ooh, I really want a piece of cake or want a sandwich or something like that. And now think about it like all excited, like, oh wow, it tastes so good the last time I have it. So then I'll let myself have it, and I first take the first bite. I was like, oh, that's it. Hmm, didn't didn't quite meet up to my expectations. So yeah, just let yourself have it and eat the cookies, eat the cake, whatever you want, and just is eat the cookie and then beat yourself up because that beating yourself up increase your cortisol level, which again, cortisol is a stress hormone. So when your body is filled with stress hormone, it holds onto the body fats and creates more sugar and put you in a stress mode and make it harder to lose weight. Yeah, so basically, speaking of all the things or summarizing of all the things that I just talked about, the ultimate guarantee way to get you lose the weight that you want is really to treat your human body like with love. Treat it the way it wants to be. Feed it the food that it needs and wants, so it stop thinking that it is in a stress mode or starvation situation. Once your body get out of the stress and just feeling all the love that you have, all the love that you give your body, and feel that joy, the weight will come off. It's not about starving yourself or torturing yourself. And I guarantee that it works because it worked on so many of my patients. Every consult that I get is like, oh, patient, try everything and try everything, dieting, exercise, nothing help, and still not able to lose weight. Seriously, those are the consults that I get all the time. And I thought the clinic, people in the clinic hates me because they're like, why are you guys sending me all this patient? Like, can they just like stop eating and lose weight? And that's when I realized that, oh my God, all these people are real. All these consults are real. Like all these patients are really like starving themselves. They're following those conventional nutrition advice, cut the calories and exercise a lot, and they're all not losing weight. And that's when I switch and step back and actually use my pediatric dietitian experience and look at the person as a whole, looking at all the looking at the whole person, whole body, every body function. And that's how I figure out that it has nothing to do with the calories, is because the digestion is not all off balance, the gut is not balanced, and they have a lot of inflammation because they're eating the wrong kind of food. And when I fix all diet that fits that person, the weight just comes off and the energy comes back and the cravings all disappear. And all these people just come back happy. Like just a few weeks ago, I have this patient who struggled with weight loss all her life since she was a teenager. And after losing like pounds, she told me that she realized her anxiety is gone because she now doesn't obsess about food, because the source of her anxiety was constantly thinking about food, thinking about her weight. But now, even though she's not quite at her goal weight, she's just so happy, and she's like, I have so much confidence now. I don't care if I get to my goal weight, but I like how I'm eating now, so I'm gonna stick to it. So anyway, let's keep going. Did I answer a last? Yeah, so the binge eating, that's because you're starving yourself. Okay, does anyone do calorie deficit without exercising, and do you still see results? And normally go to the gym 6 days a week, but I have been very burnt out lately and can feel myself slowly losing motivation to go that often. Okay, exercise. Um, I think with all the things you read out there, basically everyone says, okay, in order to lose weight, you need to exercise because exercise burns calorie. But if you're my patient, that will be the first thing that I tell you. You need to stop exercising that much. Exercise is not for burning calories. It is not a way to torture your body to burn that extra calories. The purpose of exercise for you, especially if you're women having difficulty losing that weight, exercise, the purpose of exercise for you is for mental health. Because when you exercise, you have you actually feel better. It actually helps you cope with life better, and you'll notice that you'll have less binge eating, because part of the reason why people binge eat or overeat is actually using food as a coping mechanism for stress in life. like your kids give you hell that day, or your boss just keep piling on the stuff at work for you, and you just don't have that voice to say no. And that's something I also talk about a lot is, as women, a lot of us are brought up in an environment where our voice are not heard. So when it comes to life situation, we don't say no, and we don't speak up. So we just let all this thing piles up on us. And instead of speaking up and tell, shut up, I don't want that, you just eat your use food to suppress and numb the feelings. And it's the same thing where people use drugs and alcohol, or drugs and alcohol addiction is the same thing. It's just a different form of addiction. But food, drugs, and alcohol, they all have chemical reaction in our brain, and it does exactly the same thing. It suppresses a feeling in our body. And that feelings could be different for everyone. For somebody, it might be just suppressing the feeling of feeling sad. Some people is trying to suppress the feeling of feeling lonely and not feeling important. Like of those, like food is not all about calories, macros, or whatever. Food is chemical signal to the body, but there's also a huge psychological and emotional attachment to food as well, which I might talk about later. But yeah, so that's something that I also work with my patient on, not just focusing on like how to eat for the body. The way that I help my patient is I help them heal the body from the all the damage of dieting over the years. So I give them a special diet that is specifically tailored for them. And then the second part that I also work with them is the psychological part of it, helping them to resolve any kind of emotional cause or poor coping mechanism, and they're using food to cope with their life. Um, and that's also the reason why some people or a lot of people able to lose the weight initially with calorie deficit is because food is a coping mechanism for them. So when they go on a diet and cannot eat that food to cope with the life stress, they go on a diet for like a couple 2 3 weeks or sometimes 2 3 months, and then they always go back to old eating habits. Especially that usually happens is when they didn't have the brain and the mindset all dialed in, or have learned a new coping skills for those. So they're always going back to the old coping mechanism, which is to binge eat and overeat. This one is another question about can stop eating. So again, because this is a question from the weight loss group, so I'm pretty sure that they're going on a starvation type of diet. So the body is starving to a point that is like, okay, I just really need food now. So that's probably what happened. So on top of that, like I said, a couple reasons. So one is you're starving yourself to a point that your body just make you binge on whatever food you can see in front of you. And the other part is the emotional side, using food to suppress a certain feeling. So the other question I'll ask this person, ask yourself what's going on around your life when you have these triggers to eat a lot of food. Um, okay, this is kind of like along the line of what I usually talk about. So after 3 months of eating and getting my body out of hibernation, starvation mode, so sounds like she gained 15 pounds and finally starting to lose the weight. So what she's doing is she's actually doing it the correct way, trying to allow the body to eat, or allow herself to eat. I think it's a her, allowing herself to eat, and kind of like the way when you finally eat food, it is your signal telling your body that, hey, it's okay, there's food now. You can get out of that starvation mode and actually come back to life now, and actually dial up all the metabolism again. So it takes her a while, but it is okay, because part of um, learning how to eat to lose the weight is actually also learning up here to give yourself what the body needs. And when I work with my patient, the hardest thing is that I'll explain to them what they need to do, But then a lot of them often go back to that old habit of like, oh, I need to count calories, I need to restrict. And then some of those patients will come back in a month and like, oh yeah, I was counting calories, and then we have a potluck, and I just eat whatever. And then they gain all the way back. So the thing is that you need to have a good understanding that starving doesn't work. And the question to ask yourself is, okay, how many times have you tried a starvation diet now and it doesn't work, right? So, but I know some of you out there is like, what are you talking about? Like the last time I cut out calories, I lose weight. Just wait, in a year that weight will come back. I'm not trying to be mean here, but that's what I see all the time. Because every of my patient who comes, I always ask them, what have you tried? Because everyone comes to my office, the first thing is like, I've tried everything to lose weight and nothing works. So I ask them, okay, what exactly have you tried? They've tried keto diets, intermittent fasting, they try Weight Watcher, water pills, diet pills, whatever, everything, right? So I was like, okay, so you see how everything doesn't work, right? And then if they'll say, and usually they'll say something like, oh yeah, I lose like 30 pounds easy on the ketogenic diet. So I was like, that sounds really good. So then what happened? Why didn't you continue on that? And they're like, oh, because it's not sustainable. So that is the problem. If you go on some kind of diet that is not meant to be yours, it's gonna be not sustainable, and then you always go back to your old eating habits. So you need to find a way that you feel good eating. The food fits your body, fits your mind, and something that you can continue on for the rest of your life because it is part of you, not a diet that some random person on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube said, oh yeah, you should follow this diet. You should eat so many times a day and you should stop eating before 7 or 6 o'clock. Eat breakfast. So that way you get this fasting. When for you're going to always end up going to all all the bad things that you used to. And then also your brain too, right? Like you also need to ask yourself why you have this binge eating. Besides because you're starving and restricting yourself, are you using food as a way to cope with your life stressor? Is it because someone's stressing you out in life and you just turn to food and food is your comfort? There's so many things to look into food. Like that's something that I'm trying to help people understand is beyond the calories, beyond counting all the macro, there's so much psychology and emotions attached to your food, and that's the reason why many diet, weight loss effort and diet um, fail is because of this totally ignore that we human beings are just full of emotions. Every decision that we make, even though we want to say that we're a logical being, we make all the perfect numbers with before we buy the car or the house. 90% of the time, 90% of all our decisions are based on psychological, based on emotions. We want to tell that, oh yeah, I really like that car or that house or that dress, and I pay more because logically all these numbers make sense. But subconsciously, it's all because inside here you're emotionally attached to it. So, but anyway, I'll just answer one more question because it's almost an hour. Let me see. Um, I just have few more questions, but oh, here this might be a good one. Just want some advice on the psychological aspect of weight loss. The food on my diet, calorie deficit, and working out are all things I enjoy and have no problem with. But I have a really unhealthy relationship with going to food for comfort. So how do you conquer that? Okay, so that's exactly what I just finished talking about. So what I have my patient usually do is I have I usually give them a log, but you can just make your own. Just start a little journal with a notebook, and I prefer a notebook because it's something that you can see and touch. Because if it's on the phone, you actually have to go in and find the app, right? But it's something a notebook that you can carry around, just a small one. But you go write down every time that you eat. You're going to write down. You don't. the purpose is really not to keep track of the calories or anything. I just want you to write down what you eat. So like apples, chips, or whatever. And then write down your feeling. Like, are you upset? Are you angry? Are you peace, calm, happy? So I want you to write down the feelings before, during, and after when you're eating that food. And also, you're going to rate your hunger and fullness sensation. Because a lot of people that I've noticed who've been dieting forever, restricting calories forever, a lot of these people actually do not know and cannot tell when they're full and when they're hungry. I have patient who comes to me all the time like, I just don't feel hungry. And the reason why, going back, if you've heard me talk about like some maybe 30 minutes ago, when your body is in a starvation mode, it shut down certain body function. And digestion is one of the body function that is suppressed. That's the reason why a lot of women who's struggling with weight loss also have a lot of digestion issue like irritable bowel syndrome, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, um, burping off. Those are all signs that your digestion is not working enough. So when your digestion is not working enough and your food just doesn't break down normally, it kind of feeds into like a cycle. But yeah, so what was I going on this? Sorry, I tend to go so far away from what I'm trying to say. Oh, unhealthy relationship with comfort food. So, so I usually have my patient try to relearn the hunger and fullness signal. So initially, you might not feel anything at all. So rather than wait till you're hungry to eat, so with my patient who don't feel hungry at all, I just have them eat 3 times a day, and I don't care what you eat. Like, I just want to have some food in the the purpose of that is to stimulate the body to bring that appetite back, and then slowly you'll realize that you'll be able to recognize that hunger fullness a little bit more because those sensations will become louder. So what you do is I usually have them try to eat the first meal. So I don't make them eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at certain time, but I just tell my patient that when you wake up, try to eat something within the first 2 hours of waking up. Like I said, I don't care what you eat, I don't care how much you eat. You just need to eat something. And then 3 to 4 hours later, you're gonna eat again. So if you do this consistently enough every day, without looking at the clock. I don't want you to look at the clock. The only thing I want you to look at is like, okay, I just ate at 8 o'clock. The next time I should be eating is before 12 o'clock. So that's the only thing. So you eat every 3 to 4 hours. When you do that, then eventually you'll train your body to actually tell you when to eat. Because, like I mentioned earlier, your body is not. When we see food, when humans see food, we want it. Because when you see a juicy steak, you're noticing that your mouth start watering because that's normal human behavior. So that's why you want to kind of help your body stimulate that appetite to come back. So you eat every 3 or 4 hours. Then eventually that hunger signal will be a little bit louder, then you'll be able to recognize that hunger signal. And I'm talking about hunger in your belly, not hunger up here. Because if you're hungry up here, like you're just sitting around doing nothing, and you're like, ooh, a piece of pie sounds really good. So that's eating out of boredom and eating try to fill the void. So, yeah, so that's the psychological part of it is like, what are you doing or thinking when you decide to eat a piece of cake or pie or whatever when you're not hungry? That's emotional eating. When you're eating to nurture and to fill your body, you eat when you're hungry and then you eat until you're comfortable. Wow, bite is really good. Am I full yet? So you're gonna have this conversation going on in your head for a while. But after you do this enough time, it's kind of like driving initially, right? If you can remember the first couple times when you start to drive, you're like, okay, I need to make a left. Oh, I need to cut lane. So let me turn on the signal and then make sure I turn my head. So all of those are very conscious movement because you're consciously thinking what's the next step. But then now after like 20 years of driving, you just drive like automatically. Sometimes you get to your work and you're like, oh my God, how did I get here? Like I zoned out this whole time, right? So you have to start somewhere with eating healthier and starting to listen to your body. So initially, it's going to be a conscious effort. That's why it's good to have a journal just to write down everything that you're eating and write down your feelings. That's how you can identify those hungry. So it could be out of boredom, out of loneliness. I hear that a lot from my patients. Like the main thing is like usually eating is to make them feel something, feel alive, or to suppress certain feelings so they don't feel lonely or they feel connected. Other reasons of eating will be um, childhood restriction. That happens a lot. Like when they're growing up, they're not allowed to have sweets or not allowed to have more than one cookies. They ended up with adult who binge eat cookies or candy or donuts or whatever, all the sweet stuff when the opportunity comes. So, but anyway, I think I'm gonna stop here. And thank you very much for everyone who shows up or watch this later on. Like I said, I'm doing this every week. And I used to do this on Sunday, but I'm going to switch this to during the week because on the weekend I'm saving that longer time that I have to actually help people doing therapy with them. So, anyway, thank you very much, and you all have a very good evening. And if you have any question, feel free to drop a comment or message me privately. I'm happy to hear from you, and if I can help you answer any question, I'm happy to do that. All right. Okay, thank you very much. You all have a great evening because